Welcome to the Ola Hawatmeh show on American One. My special guest next, he was on last week, the tax expert. It's a topic that everyone in America is concerned about, inflation. Stay tuned, up next. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Ola Hawatmeh show on American One. Today, I have a special guest live from his studio, his man cave, his Julio Gonzalez. Julio Gonzalez is the tax expert, one of the top tax experts in America, saving people dollars by what he does best. Julio, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Ola. It's great to see you again.
You're working on so many things with different organizations, nonprofits. You have this new thing that you're working on with animals. Tell us a little bit about that and how you can save them money.
Yeah, we have this partnership with Arno Wealth, and Arno Wealth has this fund that basically allows you to invest in endangered species. And in doing so, you get to get a tax benefit and also a return on investment. So you're trading, in essence, tax liabilities for appreciating assets while doing a good thing. And so we can preserve your wealth, preserve animals. I think that's a good thing. And so Arno has these perspectives about that, but I think it's a very fascinating program.
I would have never thought about it. The other day we were talking, and when I heard you talk about how you can save people money and what they can write off, people are not aware of this, and they don't know. When it comes tax season, what are some other tips?
There's so many great things that we can do to trade tax liabilities for tax write-offs. And, the most popular way is probably investing in real estate. So if you invest in real estate, you get to write off that expense, right? Whatever you purchase the real estate for, you get to expense, right? So you don't get to expense a stock or a bond, right? But you can expense real estate. So find a good investment property, do a cost segregation study, which is basically an engineering study showing what part of the property is structure and non-structure. Non-structure can be expensed immediately. So maybe you buy $1 million property, you write off $400,000 in the first year, right? And now you've lowered your taxes and use tax dollars to invest in real estate and get dividends every month in terms of rent appreciation, right? That's how people build wealth. They find ways to offset their tax liabilities through investments that Congress deems
absolutely
good for. They want you to invest in real estate. Exactly. They want you to invest in certain things, and they reward you for that.
So you've expanded. The last time we spoke about inflation, not only are you working with big companies, but you're working with athletes and you're working with others. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and how you've expanded.
Yeah, for us, whether you're, one-man practice or you're an elite athlete or, you're CEO of a big company, we all should be preserving our wealth because that's how we create jobs and that's how we grow our GDP. And so really the goal is to help every person, because if we do and help them with tax strategies that lower their tax liabilities, what do? They bring that money into their community.
Exactly.
Create jobs.
Yep.
Create a community of economic wealth. And that's really the key. And again, the government tells us how to do that at the state level and at the federal level. But a lot of times people are working so hard, they just don't know how to take advantage of all these tax benefits, right? So we just want to educate them, right? And educate their CPA firms, right? Because we're not the CPA firm. We work with the CPA firm.
Got it.
To help their clients.
Which makes complete sense.
Right.
And you also work with candidates. You're politically involved and you're a philanthropist.
Well, listen, we're involved politically because very few people in Congress have ever owned a business or have a tax background. But they write our tax laws, all collectively 455 of them. And but when you haven't run a business and you don't have a tax background and you're creating our tax laws, our tax code,
yes,
it's good to share with them what has worked in the past in terms of tax code that's been good for our economy and what hasn't worked, right? We have a history of 100 years of tax code and all the changes, but some work, some don't work.
Which makes complete sense. So the direction America is going in now, obviously we're all concerned. Everyone's concerned. What is your take? And what's advice that you can give other businesses? People have given up hope. I mean, not just business owners, but everyone in general, because of the leadership that we do have and the Biden administration.
Well, look, it's tough as a business owner to deal with this massive inflation, right? Your cost of labor goes up, your cost of supplies goes up.
True.
And that's brutal, right? And then you have all this regulation on top of it. And then you have this deficit, right? This massive deficit from government spending. And what do when they have bigger deficits? They move the income tax rates up, right? They raise taxes. So it's very tough on any business. And no business, if a business was run like the government is running their business, you wouldn't survive, right? Because you couldn't pay that debt off.
True.
You couldn't pay off $30+ trillion of debt. And so like a good business, we have to make sure that we don't get over leveraged, because that's hard to pay. And look at all these businesses that are suffering all that. I see businesses closing all the time now because what? They borrowed, they leveraged at low interest rates, but now those interest rates have gone up 5 times, right? And so they can't make their debt payments anymore. So that's brutal, right? So you have to get ahead of it, Ola. And the way you get ahead of it is like the banks are calling their loans, right? They can't make it because they're, a lot of them, when they have payments from the bank, right? It's gone up 3 or 4 times because the interest has gone up 3 or 4 times, right? So you got to get with your bank right away and say, listen, I know I have a variable rate loan. I know the interest rates are going up, but can we restructure this? Because I can't afford any more cash flow. Get ahead of it before the bank calls you and calls your loan.
Which makes sense.
Right? Go to the SBA, get some help there, get some help from the government. Get a CPA that knows your business and can help you with the banks and can help you with tax incentives that can help offset some of these higher labor costs and higher bank costs. It's just brutal. But find an account that gives you a return on investment, right? If you're paying him $100, he should find you $500 in tax benefits and not just be a compliance. Don't work with an account that you give him the information, he puts it in the computer and gives you a tax return. That's not tax planning, right?
No, it's not. It is tax season. What are some things? A lot of people don't know what they can write off, what they can't. And I've overheard you several occasions, and I've learned a few things. So what are some things that people don't realize that they can write off during tax season?
Let's start with the obvious ones, right? Most people now are working from home after COVID.
Yes.
Right? So correct. You can deduct a lot of the home expenses you have, rents, the internet, things of that nature, based on the square footage that you're using at your house. I think so many people miss that, right? And you can, obviously expense from a tax standpoint, medical expenses. A lot of people miss those things as well. But look, what the government says, you can expense anything where you're investing in you, right? So if you're investing in a business, all the things you do to invest in a business, you can write off. And I think that's vital, right? So if you invest in other people, say I buy a stock from an oil company. Okay. I don't get to expense that, right?
No.
Right. I just give them my money. They use it. Hopefully I get a return. But if I start my own company and invest in me and take that same money and say, I'm going to buy real estate or I'm going to buy supplies to start a company, all that you can write off. So why give the money to another company and a stock, right?
Which makes
like you don't get a write-off for that, right?
Which makes complete sense.
And listen, like if you invest in your retirement, you get to write that off too.
Exactly.
Right. So if you just start an IRA, you can get that write-off.
Exactly. Now, let's say as a business owner, you have children. What's a tax tip?
A tax tip there is you can pay your children a salary. You can do that as a tax deduction. And because they're probably going to get a salary under the limit, they're not going to have to pay taxes either. And then they can use that salary to buy supplies that normally would not be tax deductible, right?
See, not everyone is a business owner. I mean, like you work with athletes. And when it comes to the business and taxes, that's where they come to you for help. Those are great tips. I appreciate your time. I mean, I came in to shoot live from his office, his headquarters, and he's back-to-back meeting. Thank you. We appreciate you on American One. Thank you for being a guest. Thank you for coming on and sharing some tips. In closing, during tax season, any last words?
Yeah, listen, go to engineertaxservices.com. We put up daily tax tips. Follow me on Tax Reform Expert on social media. And every day I'll put up tax tips to help you guys nationwide.
Julio Gonzalez, thanks again for coming on.
All right, take care, guys.